Hey guys, this is Internet for iPoker VIP coaching. Today you're going to see a video of me playing No Limit 600 6 Max. So far I've done a couple heads up videos, but heads up is not really my main game. What I play the most of is 6 Max and mostly 600. So that will be like what I'm most comfortable with and most used to. It's really difficult to find any heads-up games really these days. I mean, the only opponents you can play for an extended period of time are usually going to be players that are better than you for the same reason, or for the reason that you wouldn't play anyone that's better than yourself, of course, for an extended period of time. And finding fish is just so difficult these days. There's like over 9,000 tables open at any given stake at any given time, so the chances of a fish sitting down is like very, very low. So what you're going to see in this video is a live session on two tables with live commentary that will give you the most authentic view on how I play, how I think, like how my timings are and everything. So that should be fun to watch. And I have a quick apology to make that there's no visible HUD on the video. I've tried out a lot of different settings on like Hold a Manager and the recording software, but I don't know why, but I couldn't get the numbers to show up in the video, so I apologize for that. But it shouldn't be a big deal, as well, whenever I use a stat I'm gonna reference it, so you won't be in the dark on that. Alright, so much for the introduction. Hope you enjoy this, and let's get started. Hey guys, this is Internet, coming at you guys with a 3-6 no limit 6 max video. Gonna be live play with live commentary. I got two tables up, got a third one on the side, so we can switch that out if action dries up. Yeah, you're gonna get to see how I play my 6 max game. I hope you can see the HUD on this video. I think you can. Otherwise, I'll make sure you can. Don't worry. Top two numbers are VPIP, preflop raise, and I'll talk about the rest as I use them. On the table on the left, we have one weaker player, currently under the gun, but not really that good of a table. And on the right, we have actually no really weak player. So, no, not really games which you should be sitting at necessarily, but well, I'm certainly comfortable playing these guys. So we get a super tiny 4-bet here, and I'm actually gonna try to establish a 5-bet range, which involves 5-bet folding. Because jamming over this tiny 4-bet is not very attractive with many hands, so if it's possible, I wanna try to use a non-committing 5-bet size, which is kind of difficult to do, but I think just below 200, like 1/3 of the stacks should work. And my 5-bet range here is going to be premiums, and then some super garbage that I would obviously fold. And he has ace queen, so that's whatever. This Newlander guy, he's the guy I played heads up against before, I think, and yeah, he's very loose aggressive, which is gonna hopefully put us in for some fun spots in this video. Yeah, as I said, these two tables are not looking very good. Maybe I'll find some better ones, but I guess it's just cool for the audience to see just drag on reg play, because that's what creates the most interesting spots. Not to say though that playing against fish is always simple and easy. Alright. Catch a 3-bet here. He 3-bets against button about 16%, limited sample. 16% is a lot though, so I'm gonna call that. He doesn't c-bet, he c-bets 53, not that much. Well, but it doesn't really matter for my hand, it's just a simple call against the c-bet. probably call pretty much any turn card and then fold river unless I improve to something. Right, so here, I mean, that's somewhat bad turn card because he could obviously have a straight or some sort of top pair or two pair which crushes me, so I'm not too happy. On the other hand, I get 25% pot odds, and I have a pair and a gut shot, and the pair might be good, so I don't think I can fold, but it's not a happy call. Yeah, and I'll be folding river. He checks, so I hope he has ace 10 or ace king or king 10 or something like that. He might have kings aces and slow down on this card. But yeah, well, I'm not bluffing here, so just showdown, hope I win. Ace king, so that's good. Yeah, should be pretty standard everything. His turn bet is somewhat interesting because obviously the queen puts up a flush draw, which I could very well have with an ace-x flush draw or a jack-x flush draw, and like every jack-x or 8x that calls flop is going to turn a pair plus gut shot. So it's kind of dubious if he should be bluffing turn. On the other hand, I might also have just very weak hands that fold, like bottom pair or just floats without a queen. And of course he has two overcards plus the super nut gut shot if the 10 comes, then am I right? If the 10 comes, then yeah, any 9 is gonna have to pay him off. Hope I got that right. Would be 10 jack. Yeah. Alright. So I mean, yeah, his turn bet is not really expecting too many folds, but that's fine. This guy 3-bets. He 3-bets 20% against the button, which is insane, and he makes it very small. So I think I'm calling here. Not very happy about it, but you know, connected cards, good pot odds, tough to fold. Oh, this flop. Well, I don't even consider floating or raising here because I have not even a single diamond, not even a single backdoor straight draw. Well, I guess I do have the. No, that's 3 cards to make the Broadway. So I have absolutely nothing, and yeah, not gonna put any money in. It's kind of interesting to play against people who 3-bet a lot and who 3-bet to a very small size. Obviously, the adjustment is if someone 3-bets to a small size to call more, and if their range is wider, your adjustment should be to 4-bet lighter and also to call more. So the correct response to his small, frequent 3-bets should be to call like super much, and that's what I'm going to be doing. And it's going to lead to a lot of very, well, strange or difficult to play post-flop situations where you have like bottom pair and a gut shot and face a turn barrel and all that good stuff. The queen 10 here, I could 3-bet. I don't want to. I figure if he would call my 3-bet, he would have ace queen, king queen a lot. Probably ace 10, king 10 as well, as he's kind of loose. And well, that means if I flop one pair, it's not a good pair. I can like value bet twice, or even value bet 3 times. I could never value bet all 3 streets with one pair. And well, my draw potential is good, so it wouldn't be a bad 3-bet, but I like not to. For those reasons, I'd rather take, I guess, something that has less domination issues against a player like him. I'm not sure. I think it's just too weak in general against under the gun raise. His cutoff range should be kind of wide, and queen 9 suited should not be a fold. I'm thinking call or 3-bet. I think both options are fine. Like what should lead me towards calling is if there's like a weak player behind, or if there's few 3-betting, or like people behind who don't 3-bet too much, like squeeze too much. With these two guys, it's kind of they both 3-bet kind of average, and they're both not bad, so that makes calling for one okay because they don't 3-bet too much, but and then it makes it okay because they're not super good but not super bad. Yeah, so I'm not really in favor of calling or folding there, calling or 3-betting there. I think both plays are fine. King 9 suited here, I don't think I can call, and it's a reasonable hand, so I'm definitely going to 3-bet that. I think that's a much clearer decision. I guess I could also fold, but he seems to be opening really wide, so probably would want to 3-bet like a 10 to 12% range here, and King 9 suited is probably part of that. Flop comes extremely good for us. Oh, we have to think about checking here. I would check back Ace King, Ace Queen, Ace Jack often here, so it's not retarded to check back this hand once in a while. But I want to think about like what other hands could I slow play check back here, and I think I would rather take a hand like 10-9 because it has, well, it's not gonna be so difficult to play when like the straight cards come in. And also, should you have a 9 as well, then King 9 can stack that with a better kicker, but 10-9 probably cannot because it would be the worst kicker. So I think for slow play, checking back, I'd rather take something like 10-9 or 9-7, I think. Like a low 9 that has straight connectivity instead of a high 9 that has no straight or backdoor flush connectivity. So yeah, pretty easy c-bet, but still want to think about every option at every point. And I think in that spot, betting is clearly the best play, even though it's standard. I still want to think about it. All right. So running pretty well for the start of this. Yeah, so this weaker player up here, he's not really that bad or anything. He's, I mean, pretty standard actually. Just don't know him well enough to say like if he's good or not that good. Okay. Sorry for the downtime and talking. Don't know what to say. Let's think about our general game plan. Let's assume this guy actually is a weaker player. I don't think he is, but let's just assume that. Well, what would our game plan look like at this table? Like, how do we adjust our pre-flop play based on that fact? Well, for one, every time this guy's in the blind, we're gonna be in late position, and when this guy's in the blinds, then everyone else is gonna loosen their pre-flop opening standards a little bit because they want to play against the weaker player in the blind. Again, I'm assuming he is a weaker player, which I don't think he is right now. So, yeah, just imagining that. Well, against his loose opening standards, I think Ace Queen is pretty strong here, so we're gonna squeeze that and not fold. So if these guys would open lighter and I'm in position on them, I should be inclined to 3-bet wider and also to call wider. Obviously call wider because their range is wider, and call wider because the weaker player is behind. So this would definitely loosen up the preflop action when I'm in position, which is really good for me because I get to play more hands, which means more profit. And we'll talk about the second scenario, preflop scenario, later. On the right, both people call. That's kind of weird. Well, I certainly c-bet. The question is just what size. I usually like to size the c-bet exactly the size my preflop 3-bet was, or preflop squeeze was, because I think it gives me very good leverage. Like, if I want to bluff here, this is gives me very good odds on my bluff because I don't need many folds to show a profit. At the same time, if I have a hand that wants to get all the money in, that's not going to pose a problem because the pot is going to be really big anyway, even if I bet that small 1/3 pot bet. Alright, he calls, which is an ace or a set or maybe a flush draw. Oh, I think he would jam a flush draw because it would be. Yeah, I think he would do that. So I'm not worried about a flush. Definitely worried about pocket fives here. I think I should just be jamming here for value against ace jack. Actually, if he does have ace jack, he's gonna bet himself. So I'm not really gonna miss out on value from that. So if he has an ace, he's probably gonna bet on the river, and I could check jam the river. And if he somehow floated queen jack or queen 10 or jack 10 or maybe even pocket eights because I bet so small, well, hopefully not pocket eights, but if he somehow floated that, he's gonna be he's gonna be betting turn to bluff, and against those hands checking is better. Now on the river, I think he has a king or an ace. Against an ace I want to check raise or go all in. Against the king I definitely want to bet myself. I think I'm gonna jam here. I hope he makes a hero call with king queen or king jack. Or if he has an ace, I think he time down calls or just snap calls. That's also possible. Let's see what he had there. Ace jack, so yeah, that was just sort of a cooler, and I played a somewhat fancy line, I suppose. He did check turn with ace jack. Somewhat surprised by that, but well, not really. He can do that. Yeah, the idea behind the turn check basically is if he has a hand that pays me off, like an ace that pays me, he's gonna bet himself on the turn or on the river, so I'm not really losing value against those hands. And if he somehow happens to have a float, like I said, queen jack or queen 10, he would of course fold if I bet turn, but he might, or he probably would bluff on the turn or river if I check, and that's why I like checking turn in that situation. Of course, I do give him a free card if he somehow has, I don't know, king X, like king queen, maybe with the queen of spades. I allow him to check back and hit his like flush draw plus pair, plus 2 pair / trip draw, which of course is not good. So I do lose EV, or I do lose equity in the hand by giving free cards to his second pair, or maybe top pair weak kicker. So that's the downside of checking turn. But overall, I felt like that made a lot of sense. Okay, just yeah, preflop raising, c-betting seems pretty standard. Let's see if we have more tables here. No, all the tables are breaking. Well, it's like evening in Germany, Europe right now, so there should be plenty of games, but poker is dying. Just regulars. Alright, getting a walk. Yeah, this guy also 26-14 has kind of weak stats. Now it changed because we're short-handed. But he's actually not bad. He plays a little bit strange, but not in a bad way. Well, sort of in, how do you say, like not interesting, but like a thinking way. Like he's gonna check call lead in a spot where it actually makes sense to do so, and he even like limps preflop on occasion in spots where it makes sense, like small blind limps. I think he does that sometimes, and that might look like a weak play from like on the first view, but it's actually not. He's not a bad player. So we have queens to aces preflop, right? Missed that, but I think it was pretty standard. Oh yeah, there's no nice replayer feature for on game. It's just raw hands. If you never played on game, this should look like really bizarre, but that's just how it is. Yeah, preflop. Let's check out the sizing maybe. 18 call, 76, so that's a pretty big squeeze. 135. That's a very small 4-bet considering this squeeze size. And then jam call. Yeah, so maybe want to take a little bit of a note about this 76 because it's kind of a big squeeze. Not like oversized or anything, but yeah, just keep that in mind. Maybe if he squeezes smaller sometime, then we can like draw some conclusions that his range is, maybe weaker, or maybe wants to get a call, not a 4-bet or something like that. Six deuce, not really. Oh, we're deep and I'm in position, so I am willing to play a very wide range against his small blind open raises. But six deuce off is just not even in the top 90% of hands, so no. Say no to drugs, and six to off is like a drug. Same deal with the four deuce here. I would open this on against some opponents. Against the big blind, I would open it, but this guy just 3-bet so much that I think it's not good. Right. Now that we're deep in position. Oh yeah, I remember what I was talking about. Now that we're deep in position, we want to 3-bet even more, but not 8-4 off. Yeah, I was talking about when the weak player is on the blinds, then the play before the blinds is gonna loosen up, and being in position on the loosened up action is well, promises a lot of EV, so that's good. The other way would be when the weaker player is not in the blinds, when he's like on the button or on the cutoff or mid position. Then the play before him would be really tight, and the play after him, well, wouldn't really be effective that much. So in those spots, like, oh, I have so many random hands on the other tables, I'm sorry. Let's see, if the position was he's on the button, then Own Baby and myself would be opening more or less standard, like, or actually kind of tight because you don't want to get called in position. And then, if the fish folds, then the blinds would obviously play very standard. And if I raise or Own Baby raises and the weaker player calls, then the blinds would be more inclined to squeeze or more inclined to call as well. What the hell? So in those cases, the play from the blinds would also be looser, but it would be looser in both terms of calling raises and in terms of squeezing. So being in position on the blinds there is not really better or worse. Also your relative position wouldn't be that good because if you c-bet, let's say, okay, a 3-way pot, you open raise, weaker player calls in position, and regular calls from the blinds. Then checks to you on the flop, obviously you bet, and then the weaker player is first to act, and then the regular is in a position to act, and if he check raises, you're in a sandwich. And of course, if he folds, you're still out of position against the fish. So that scenario, like right now, this does not lend itself very well for a loose opening range for myself with a weaker player being in position on me. Again, assuming he would be a weaker player, which he's not. So, yeah, if the weaker player is behind you, that's really bad. And if you're like in position on his blind, that's really good. So just keep that in mind and do some range tweaking. Or, well, we're playing high stakes here, so like almost everyone at the table is going to be aware of these dynamics, and you need to be too. All right. right. So he calls from the big blind. I'm gonna check. Well, you can tell from his stats basically. There's a wide gap between VPIP and preflop raise. So this tells us this person likes to call preflop, and he's big blind, so he's gonna call a lot. So we know his range is gonna be very wide here, like probably Ace X offsuit, maybe even King 9 offsuit, King 8 offsuit type of hands. Well, we have two overs and a fairly good gut shot, so we're definitely gonna c-bet that. Just folds, fine. Well, even though this King 8 c-bet is obviously very standard and like everyone would c-bet there and not really think about it much, it's still important to at every point be aware what your opponent's range looks like, at least approximately. So if the hand goes into the later streets, you're gonna have a better idea of what his hand is like, and also imagine you would not have a simple c-bet decision, then the next time around I won't have to think too long about what his range is when I have maybe a middle pair on that board and I'm not sure whether I should c-bet or not. So it's always good to just think about every range at every point in every hand. Well, unless you're playing 15 tables, then that's gonna be really difficult. Yeah. MTFKR. I have no idea what that means. He seems to be 3-bet tight. I know he minimum 5 bets and Newlander folds. Jesus. Very peculiar. Well, let's see. Well, he 3-bets, and of course, button versus cutoff 3-bet is usually a very wide range. But then this player doesn't 3-bet that much, so would assume it's not that late. Newlander 4-bet bluffs apparently anyway, which is not a bad thing to do. It's just wouldn't recommend it necessarily against a tight 3-betting range. And then he minimum 5-bets to below 200, which, well, like I did in the beginning, could be a valid strategy, but honestly, I don't think he has a 5-bet fold range there. So effectively, he's just going all in. He's never folding after that, and yeah, not really much else to talk about except that maybe he doesn't understand that he can't have a 5-bet fold range for that size with his tight 3-betting range in the first place. But, well, not really much to take away from it, but just seems kind of odd what he did there. We'll flop bottom pair, backdoor straight. It's a pretty good hand. Turn's really bad for us because 8-7, 7-6, 8-6 get there, which he might have called in position. I don't think I can check call. I could check raise or bet, or obviously check fold. I think I'm gonna check fold actually. Not feeling too good about it. Because he could also float flop with like ace queen, king queen, king jack, any sort of hand basically that has 2 overcards could call flop. It's not inconceivable. And against those hands, I obviously have the best hand, so I don't want to fold. On the other hand, he's obviously going to have a flush, a 9, a set, over pairs, middle pairs, so check calling is not very good because he can have top pair, middle pair. Check raising is not very good because he can have a set or a flush. Yeah, some kind of, well, obviously out of position with a weak made hand is very difficult to play. Nothing new there. I decided to just check fold. For one, there's no good river card for me. Like, apart from a deuce, there's nothing I want to see on the river that makes the hand easy to play for me, so I decided just check fold, which I guess is okay. Yeah, so this guy just 3-bets a lot and 3-bets very small, and like I said, I'm inclined to call a lot, but not queen deuce off. And I could also 4-bet, but I think it's just too weak overall of a hand. Like, I can choose slightly stronger hands to 4-bet bluff with, like queen 7 off or something. Just has more equity. Ace 3, about 150 blinds deep. I want to be 3-betting a wide range here, maybe like 15, maybe like 20%. Actually just gonna call the queen 10 because we're super deep and yeah. But ace 3 doesn't play too well in a 3-bet pot, and also if he 4-bets, it doesn't play too well. Like I can't jam, I can't really call, so just gonna call his raise. Okay, cool. Straight here, just gonna bet twice. 100 big blinds deep, I'd be inclined to call the flop, but slightly deeper, I think I can raise. And if he 3-bets, I have room to call flop and probably call turn. So I like just putting on more pressure because we're deep and well, my hand is obviously strong enough to call, so I don't need to bluff raise with it. But well, we're deep and we're in position, so we want to build a pot and apply pressure, and I don't think he can possibly raise me off my hand there. I mean, he could, of course, if he just goes all in on the flop or something ridiculous, but if he 3-bets flop, I definitely have room to call. And if he bets turn after that, I probably have room to call still, so I'd, yeah, because of stack size, I like a raise more than a call there. Though at 100 big blinds, if I raise the flop and he 3-bets, I'd be in a somewhat bad situation where I can't really call, so I'd have to ship it in, and that's, well, probably about around a break-even play, and you don't want to make break-even plays when you have a hand like a nut flush draw. So yeah, just because of stack size, I raised that flop, and well, he folded, which is whatever. I'm really inclined to not fold here, but he's just been so loose all around, like even 4-betting this guy as a bluff and stuff. I don't know. I feel like he plays back a lot, so I don't want to get myself into super loose marginal spots, and 8-4 suited would certainly qualify as somewhat loose and marginal. Alright, 24. There we have a weaker player. He opens to 24. I don't think that is his standard sizing, so I'm trying to see if this tells me anything about his range in this position, and I'm totally not sure if he does this just randomly, or if he does this with strong hands, or if he does this with weak hands to look strong. I have no idea. Gonna keep an eye on that. Alright, I think I'm gonna have to cut this video short a couple minutes because there's someone coming over right now. Oh, I hope you don't mind. We'll play a couple more minutes. Get squeezed to 65, which in comparison to what Newlander does, this is obviously very big. Newlander makes it 48. He makes it like way more. Like, oh, I'm so bad. 17 more? That's more than 15 more. So if that like 3x is over 4x, obviously it's over 4x. Which, of course, gives you more room to fold. And yeah, basically my strategy against a larger 3-bet involves more folding. King 7, I call the min raise, pretty standard, flop pretty good, he checks back. So now I have a bluff catcher on this turn card, and I'm gonna probably bluff catch one street. Pocket 3s, you can call or fold, or 3-bet. I think I'm gonna fold because his early position battles. Of course, the weaker player doesn't know he's early position, but this guy is probably not raising too many hands, and then I also have 3 people behind you can squeeze or cold 4-bet. I think I have a value bet here. Maybe not. I'm not sure. He shouldn't have a club very often, of course, because most clubs c-bet flop. A club that does not c-bet flop would be a low club, which would also check back turn. So he does rep the low clubs very well. On the other hand, his c-bet is very high, so maybe he c-bets even every club, in which case my hand is certainly good. I mean, I guess it could be beat by king queen offsuit, but that's c-bets flop. Pocket queens probably c-bets flop even without a club. So I think my hand is good very often, and when your hand is good very often, you probably want to squeeze out a bit of value. And also, of course, I can have a shitload of bluffs on this river. Like, I can have 8-6 spades, and if I have that, I certainly want to bluff. So if he somehow has ace high on the river, he might be able to call. Don't expect him to, but it's not unfeasible. And given I have the best hand, then why not try to get that call out of him? I've been winning a lot of pots here. Really good. Doesn't always go like this. I am sure you know that. Ace queen against under the gun raise. I'm usually not very happy, but as I said multiple times already, this guy's just very loose, so I think ace queen is a 3-bet here, and if he happens to 4-bet, in that case I'm not happy, but I wouldn't be folding just because well, basically the way that he 4-bet bluffed against this guy, if he's capable of 4-bet bluffing a tight player, which is not a bad thing at all, it's just something that a lot of people do not do, and they don't sacrifice much value not doing it. But just seeing a player being capable of 4-bet bluffing in a spot where, like, you don't really expect the other guy to be 3-bet bluffing too much, it tells you that this player is capable of bluffing in a lot of situations. And because of that, I also think he's able to 4-bet bluff under the gun versus big blind. And because of that, I would be jamming my ace queen in if he 4-bets. King 10 here, very nasty situation. I think folding is standard, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not feeling too good about it. I certainly think jamming is not a terrible idea. I think it's slightly minus EV, but it's not going to be terribly minus EV. And calling is also probably similar. It's probably minus EV as compared to folding, but it's not a big blunder to call that and then get into the awkward situations post-flop. Goes to 24 again, so maybe it's just his standard size, I just didn't know that. Or maybe he's in the same part of his range as he was before. Yeah. Good 3-bet here. Totally unsure what his range is, but it's cutoff versus button, so I'm just gonna get it in and hope he doesn't have ace king. Yeah, basically that. His 3-bet and 4-bet so far seem both reasonable to high. Of course, not a huge sample at 1,000 hands, but yeah. Just gonna assume he's 3-betting enough that can't be bad to get an ace queen. Normally I'd fold against a tight player or a tight 3-bet range in this spot, but we're deep, and deep favors the player in position and favors hand that have nut capacity, such as a nut suit. So we want to see a flop here. He checks this flop. I'm wondering if he would check something like aces, kings, jacks here, because he doesn't want to get raised or get 3 streets in anyway, because I could very easily have a queen. I wonder if he would check ace king, if he would check call it or check fold it. I have no idea. I'm just gonna check it down, hope I somehow win with my ace high. Of course expecting to lose to like a 9x or pocket 10s or ace king high kind of often. And I'm chopping with a lot of aces, that's good. If he happens to bet here, he represents a 9. Or pocket 10s, pocket jacks, maybe still kings, aces. Oh, I don't really believe him actually. Like, 10s bet turn or flop, and 9 is really the only thing he reps. But would he 3-bet a 9 deep? Well, would he 3-bet anything else that would bluff here? I think, yeah. I think he might have 8-6 or something like that. Just gives up on the flop and then, decides to bluff river. And yeah, he has 10s, which is obviously possible. But like I said, I would expect 10s to bet flop or turn almost always. And yeah, so I don't really expect many 10s or jacks or 9x. One more point, I don't actually expect him to 3-bet pocket 10s every time because, like I said, his 3-bet is like low 5%, 6%, and in a 5% range, pocket 10s is not really part of. Yeah, so I think I can call river. I expect him to actually have ace high himself a good amount, just because I don't know why he would bet it, but I've seen that. So if he has an ace, I obviously don't win the entire pot by calling, but just half the pot. And then, like I said, I expect him to have some just low cards that decided not to c-bet, not to bet turn, but that just decided to bluff river. Also, one more thing that he could have as a bluff would be a low pocket pair, such as pocket 8s, I suppose. And, pocket 8s has a pair, checks down, on the river it gets counterfeited, and, people always bluff when their pairs get counterfeited, so that would also be something he could have had there. Yeah, so yeah, I think river is a call, unless I have a very strong read that this person does not bluff rivers, which I do not have, so I think I'm good with the call. Also, my range on the river could be like also counterfeited pairs a lot, 8s, 7s, all of them actually. I could have, king high, random 8 high, 10 high, jack high. So if he actually had a bluffing hand there, he would also get some folds, so I don't want to fold all my ace highs. So from a theory perspective, it also makes sense to call some ace highs. Okay, video is not going to be cut short. Gonna be a full 45 minutes for you guys. Hope you can digest all that. Oh, big pot brewing. I did not pay attention. I'll review it. No, actually, that's just. No, yeah, I can switch tables like this, and then I can open the chat. Okay, it's already over. Let's switch back so we don't get confused. So what happened? Raise 3-bet normalish size, 4-bet small call, check fold. Okay. So again, someone 4-bet bluffing this guy, or presumably 4-bet bluffing, because if he check folds flop, he probably didn't have anything. And he called a 4-bet. Last time he minimum 5-bet, so well, it doesn't really tell us much. Just restating the action often helps gathering information. And now he limps. Yeah, that was what I was thinking he did sometimes. He sometimes does limp, which... Okay, this table is breaking. I'm gonna wrap up the video after like 1 or 2 more hands. He limps, gets a min raise from the weak player. Weak players do not raise late, even though it's a min raise. Okay, this guy does not 3-bet much. I think I could just call here for set, even though it's a bit iffy. Oh no! Oh, come on. Don't time out like that. Was gonna say I would, obviously, it looks like I want to force more money in preflop, but I think I do not, because when a weaker player raises, they're very strong. So would just have called here, and looks like folding might have been better if someone has aces behind. But yeah, I think I would have called here. And the limper folds to 45, which is okay, of course. Here against a loose player, I could raise to get it in. Against this player who's not 3-betting too much, I think getting it in would be a bit too loose. So I just check call, probably check call turn, probably check fold river. And then this guy min-raised and folds to 45 as well, which is very odd. Directly contradicting what I've said, that his min-raising range is probably not weak. Yeah, I mean, just happens I make a read, it's wrong. Yeah. He bets, well, it's double flush draw and like straight draws, plenty of them. I don't know, time's out. Also, I think he's not bluffing enough to call, but maybe he is. He's a solid player, but he tends to be more on the tighter side. Like if you compare him to this new lander guy, he's very tight, but he's of course not like fish tight or knit tight or anything. Called small blind. Will be a lot of king jack, king 10, ace 10, jack 10, queen jack, 10-9 suited, 8-9 suited, and pocket pairs. And against that range, I only have fold equity against pocket pairs here, so I'm not gonna try to bluff him because I just think he's not folding often here. And even if he has ace-x suited, it might be the spades, or he might even have diamonds and decide not to fold it. So we're definitely not putting any cent in here. Alright, well, that should wrap it up. Tables breaking and stuff. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments, questions, whatever, and I'll be there to answer them, if it's not too many. Alright, have a good day. This is Paul, aka Internet, signing off for iPoker VIP coaching. Have a good day.